serious?
Go get him, Tiger.
Bye. They love me. No, dude! No, dude! There are bigger things happening here. Power feels good.
Secrets haven't closed. This is bigger than you, Peter. What are you hiding, Peter?
Awesome! I love you guys. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel and Sony just released a new Spider-Man Returns trailer as part of a special event they're doing this year for all the versions of Spider-Man. We also learned what their new plan is for Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4, the future of Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield's versions of Spider-Man, and their entire universe of Venom movies, which have sadly been missing a version of Spider-Man this whole time. So we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We just got confirmation that Venom 3 is coming out in October this year. They moved the release date up. We should be getting a trailer for that pretty soon. We've already gotten the Kraven trailer. That's still supposed to come out. That hasn't been delayed as far as I know. We also have X-Men episodes that are starting this week. I'll be doing videos for all those, and the Spider-Man TV series called Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Now, that's still supposed to release at the end of the year. So it is a big year for Spider-Man stuff, even though we had all that Madam Web disaster happening earlier this year. But what's going on is that Marvel and Sony are re-releasing each of the solo Spider-Man movies in theaters, starting with Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man movie and moving through the timeline up to Spider-Man No Way Home. They're calling it Spider Mondays because the release dates start on April 15th for Tobey Maguire's first movie, then the next movie, Spider-Man 2, will release the following Monday, and each movie after that, every Monday after that until Spider-Man No Way Home. I assume this means that each Spider-Man movie will only be in theaters for a single week, so if you want to see them all, you have to see them the week that they release, or that's it. You'll have to wait a few years till the next major Spider-Man anniversary when they do this thing again. You have to believe that Sony is never going to let the rights to Spider-Man go, and they're always going to try and re-release these movies every 4 or 5 years. Just wait till after Tom Holland's next Spider-Man trilogy is done. They're like, oh, we have so many more movies we can re-release now, so much more money for us to earn. Frankly, I'm surprised that Marvel hasn't tried doing this more frequently with the Avengers movies, at least. There are way too many MCU movies to make it feasible for them to re-release all of them before Avengers 5, but they could re-release the other 4 Avengers movies before that. There are 8 Spider-Man movies that they're releasing as part of this big event. The only thing that they're not including are like Captain America Civil War or the Avengers movies that Tom Holland has appeared in, like Infinity War or Endgame. It's just the solo Spider-Man movies. They haven't said if they're adding any unseen footage or deleted scenes. There are many deleted scenes from even the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. They kind of did a version of that with Spider-Man No Way Home a couple years ago when they re-released the extended edition, but they marketed it as the extended edition, and they're not really saying that during this trailer. But it does sound like they might give away some special merch or posters or something like that at theaters. We'll find out. Usually when they do events like this, they have some sort of special merch attached to it. But you can expect Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire to be talking more about their versions of Spider-Man, like their future in the Spider-Man movies while this is all going on.
I don't want to say like close the chapter, but revisit and have certain resolutions, and just join in this like loving creative spirit.
I fought an alien made out of black goo once.
Oh, no way. I fought an alien too.
I want to fight an alien.
Anytime there's a big Spider-Man event, they're always asked tons of questions about Spider-Man. There are a couple reasons why Marvel and Sony are doing this. First, Sony needs money, like the obvious reason, because Madam Web went full Morbin time. They're probably worried about Kraven and Venom 3 doing well at the box office later this year too, and they want to hedge their bets. Their main solo Spider-Man movies are basically licenses to print money for them and for Marvel. The last couple of Spider-Man movies have both earned over $1 billion. So no-brainer for them to just re-release them in theaters to make up for some lost money on Madam Web, Morbius, the other stuff coming out this year, hedging their bets, like I said. The other major reason they're putting all this stuff back in theaters is because Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire are returning in upcoming movies like Avengers 5, Avengers 6, Secret Wars, whatever that winds up being. They might change Avengers 5 into like Secret Wars Part 1. But Kevin Feige over on the MCU, Marvel side of things, has had a plan to bring Tobey and Andrew back for a while now. There was also a bit of a tug of war that Marvel and Sony was having about bringing them back earlier during Spider-Man 4, Tom Holland's solo movie, but it sounds like Kevin Feige won out on that. I'll explain that at the end of the video because we learned a little bit more about that movie. It was also going to play into Sony's earlier plan to bring Andrew Garfield back earlier during the Madam Web movie in some kind of cameo scene. That movie was meant to be like Terminator meets Final Destination in the Venom universe with Spider-Man characters, but originally it was meant to be a prequel to Andrew Garfield's amazing Spider-Man movies, and his version of Peter Parker was supposed to be the one born at the end of the film. That's why the movie featured so many Spider-Man references and characters, like multiple versions of Spider-Woman in the future with Flash 4's Sydney Sweeney as a version of Julia Carpenter, Isabella Merced was a version of Anya Corazon, Celeste O'Connor was a version of Maddie Franklin. They wouldn't have become Spider-Woman till after Spider-Man became Spider-Man. Adam Scott was a version of Uncle Ben, Emma Roberts was Peter Parker's mother, Mary Parker, and even though we don't see him, Peter Parker's father was meant to be in the movie in some way too. There were all these scenes in the movie where Madam Web references Uncle Ben's future, implying she's witnessed his future with that Spider-Man origin story, Peter Parker getting the spider bite, Uncle Ben being destined to die, giving him the rest of his full origin story, leading to him taking the mantle of Spider-Man in the first place.
Ben said to tell you that the baby's doing really well.
Yeah, all the fun and none of the responsibility.
That's what he thinks.
Earlier in the movie, they keep having the characters almost say the baby's name is Peter, then stop being short, like they turn it into a big thing in the film, but then never pay it off. At the end of the movie, when Peter is born, instead of saying the baby's name, they just refocus the shot on the curtain made to look like a spider's web. And apparently the reason for all that trickery is because during the filming process, Dakota Johnson revealed that they totally changed the movie many times, and at some point Andrew Garfield said no to coming back for the Madam Web movie, like thanks but no thanks, and the people who wrote the movie totally messed up the time frame. And in the final version, it all takes place during the early 2000s, meaning that it would have worked more as an origin story talking more about the timeline, as a Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man origin story. But there was no way Kevin Feige was going to let Madam Web be connected to the MCU, like he didn't want to have anything to do with that movie or feature any of the MCU characters, and it sounds like he successfully convinced Sony not to try and force Tom Holland to have a cameo in the movie. And because at the end of the day, they couldn't get any version of Spider-Man actually to be in the movie, they decided to swerve on all the Spider-Man references and Easter eggs and make the movie feel more self-contained, generally a kind of disaster. But I do not think having Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield in the movie as their versions of Spider-Man would have suddenly fixed all of the movie's problems, like the script itself was terrible. Apparently behind the scenes at Sony, there was this big plan to try and turn Tom Holland's Spider-Man into a Molecule Man kind of character where he has to exist in every single universe and sort of piggyback their Venom universe into the larger MCU that way, like make it more interconnected, but justify Tom Holland's Spider-Man being the main Spider-Man of their Venom universe and inside the MCU, even though technically those are two completely different universes. If you're not familiar with Molecule Man, he's a key figure in the lead-up to the more modern version of Secret Wars. There are a couple different versions of Secret Wars in the comics. There's one from back in the 1980s with a single version of Battleworld. The Beyonder pulls all the Marvel characters and villains to fight on it for his amusement, basically. The more modern version of Secret Wars shares a little more in common with some references and Easter eggs going on in the background of the MCU movies right now with the incursions. So a bunch of universes across the multiverse start to collide with each other, and they find out that Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange have engineered a plan to try and save the main Marvel universe by destroying a bunch of other universes and killing other versions of Molecule Man who exists in every single universe as a different version of himself. There's meant to be something tied to the stability of each universe and the existence of that Molecule Man. They find out that Beyonders are trying to erase the multiverse, basically destroy it all. They defeat them, Doctor Doom takes their power to become God Emperor Doom, and then takes the remaining Molecule Man and all the fragments of the remaining universes and combines them into a version of Battleworld. There have been a lot of rumors about Marvel wanting to use a version of Molecule Man in the new version of movie Secret Wars that they're going to be doing in a couple years, but it wasn't really clear if they were going to use actual Molecule Man or another character being like Molecule Man from that comic book Secret Wars. But Kevin Feige did say that he was willing to have Tom Hardy's Venom inside Secret Wars, so it does sound like Sony will get some of their requests, like some of the Venom universe will be tied to the MCU through Secret Wars. But as part of all this Secret Wars lead up that's happening right now, Sony wanted to have Tom Holland's Spider-Man become part of the Venom universe in a bigger way. They also wanted Spider-Man 4 to be a bigger multiverse movie, kind of like Spider-Man No Way Home, with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back again for that movie. Kevin Feige had been arguing with them about making it more of a street-level movie, more of a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man kind of movie with, say, like Daredevil and Kingpin in it, other characters that are more ground level. Personally, I would prefer the more street-level, smaller Spider-Man movie. Like, after you've done your big multiverse movie for so many years, you go back to ground, you sort of restart things, and then build your way back up to eventually doing Secret Wars again. There's still all those teasers at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home with the Venom symbiote. They can push that off to like Spider-Man 5. They can even make Matt Gargan, Scorpion, one of the villains in Spider-Man 4, and then turn him into a version of Venom either at the end of the movie in a post-credit scene or in Spider-Man 5, because Matt Gargan did wear the Venom symbiote for a while in the comics. And because they wait to give Tom Holland the Venom symbiote, they can actually do that during Secret Wars. Like, he finally gets the black costume of the Venom symbiote during a version of Secret Wars, so they can do it a little bit more like the comics. Kevin Feige also revealed that there's been a long-term plan to bring Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back for Secret Wars in some way, so they will be back and they will continue those characters' stories in new movies. Probably not the way that people expect them to. Personally, I think that if Sony has such a hard-on for bringing their characters back sooner, they should just give Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire their own solo movies where they can continue their stories. I just did a video about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4 because Sam Raimi was talking about eventually doing a version of that in the future. What I think is more likely is that Sony would just continue his story in a new Spider-Man movie that's separate from Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies and just change the plot a little bit, because they've already reused a lot of plot elements from what was going to be Spider-Man 4 when he was going to do his version. Same thing for Andrew Garfield's version of Spider-Man. Like, one of their versions of Spider-Man could also be a mentor to live-action Miles Morales' Spider-Man when they're ready to do that character in the movies, which they've also revealed is going to become a thing soon. That's literally the Sony executives that make those Spider-Man movies talking about doing a live-action Miles Morales movie. But because Sony has so many Spider-Man plans, like they want to do so much Spider-Man, just let me know in the comments how you want them to handle Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back in the movies. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. We just found out about a Star Wars Acolyte trailer that's going to be dropping. That'll be my next video. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. And like I said, X-Men episodes starting this week. My episode 1 and episode 2 video will post after they release them. That should be on Wednesday. Everybody click here to learn about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4, and click here to learn about Henry Cavill in Deadpool and Wolverine. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.